They said the world was peaceful now. The skies shimmered with silver lights, and no one screamed anymore. Cities hummed in perfect rhythm, every creature moving with quiet grace. But under that peace there was something missing. Something human. On the world of Thireen the Vael ruled. They were tall, slender beings with skin like glass and eyes that glowed softly blue. They spoke without words, using their minds to share thoughts in smooth, ordered patterns. They believed emotion was disease, chaos, the cause of every war that had ever scarred their stars. When humanity arrived decades ago, broken and scattered after losing their homeworld, the Vael offered them peace. They built shining sanctuaries where humans could live, monitored, guided, and corrected through telepathic conditioning. Emotions were dulled. Memories of pain and passion were washed away. The humans called them prisons. The Vael called them gardens. Every day at dawn, the Vael sent the calm wave, a pulse of telepathic energy that numbed emotion across the settlement. People smiled with empty eyes and went about their assigned work. But not everyone submitted. Among the gray-eyed humans of Garden 47, there lived a girl named Lira. She was 12, small, ordinary. Until the day she stopped bowing her head during the calm wave. Her mother noticed it first. Lira would clench her fists when others went still. She whispered old words that no one used anymore. "Freedom," she said once, quietly as if testing the sound. Her mother shushed her, terrified that the overseers might hear. But the Vael did hear. That afternoon an overseer glided into their home, a tall figure wrapped in silver cloth. His eyes glowed brighter than most, and when he spoke, the words appeared directly inside their minds. "You are resisting harmony, child." Lira trembled but didn't bow. "Harmony feels like dying," she said. The overseer tilted his head, curious. "Emotion is decay. It leads to suffering. But it's also what makes us alive," she said. "You can't feel joy without fear. You can't love without pain." The overseer blinked once, and then struck her mind like a hammer. Lira screamed, collapsing to her knees, her head filled with burning white noise. Her mother begged for mercy, but the overseer only watched, emotionless. Then something strange happened. In the instant before darkness swallowed her, Lira pushed back. Not with words, not even with thought, but with pure feeling. Fear, love, anger, all of it. It burst from her like a wave, and for a heartbeat, the overseer stumbled back, clutching his head. No one had ever resisted a Vael's touch before. The next morning the entire garden whispered of it. A child who defied the calm. A human who made an overseer bleed light from his eyes. The Vael called an emergency council. High above the garden, in the floating city of Ithrael, the Vael gathered in their hall of stillness. The chamber was vast and silent, filled with pools of silver water. Hundreds of Vael stood in motionless circles, their thoughts weaving together in the mental network they called the chorus. At the center stood Vaelrin, a young scientist, younger than most, his aura flickering with colors the elders found unsettling. He'd always been curious about humans, even sympathetic. Their chaos fascinated him. Now, as the council spoke, he listened quietly. "This human child is dangerous," the High Overseer intoned through the chorus. "Her mind resists the calm. If such resistance spreads, their species may revert to savagery." "Then she must be removed," another voice said, but Vaelrin hesitated before joining the mental agreement. "Removed?" he projected softly. "You mean executed?" The council's light shimmered in disapproval. "Containment has failed before. It is better to preserve peace through necessary action." Vaelrin looked out the glass floor at the gardens below. Thousands of humans walked in silent order, like alls moved by invisible strings. But among them, one tiny spark burned wild. A child who fought back. Something in him stirred. A question, an emotion, forbidden, yet persistent. When the council dismissed, Vaelrin broke from the chorus and left the hall, his mind buzzing with confusion. He told himself he only wanted to study her, to understand why her mind had resisted. That was his duty as a scientist. But deep down, he knew the truth. He didn't want her to die. That night, under the pale twin moons, Lyra's mother was taken away for adjustment. The overseers said it was for her own good. Lira was left in a cold cell, her wrists bound with psychic dampeners that made her head ache, but when the door slid open again, it wasn't an overseer who entered, it was Vaelrin. He stood silently, his crystalline face reflecting the faint blue glow. "You should be asleep," he said gently, using his voice this time, not his mind. "I can't sleep when you're in my head," Lira muttered. He blinked, almost amused. "I'm not. I promised I wouldn't enter your thoughts." "Then why are you here?" she asked. "To understand," he said. "You resisted the calm. No human has done that in over 40 years. How?" Lira frowned. "I just didn't want to forget how my mother's voice sounds. The calm makes everything feel soft and fake. I wanted to remember." Vaelrin looked at her with something no Vael was supposed to feel. Sadness. "Your people think emotion is poison," she said, "but maybe it's the cure." He didn't answer. Outside the cell, guards moved in silent formation. He didn't have long. Vaelrin placed a small device on the floor, a shimmer of light that distorted the air. "This will hide our presence from the chorus," he said, "for a few minutes." Lira looked at him suspiciously. "Why are you helping me?" He hesitated, searching for words he barely understood. "Because I think we were wrong about you," and for the first time in his life, Vael smiled. The next few nights passed in uneasy silence. Lira stayed in her cold cell, but she noticed small changes. The guards didn't come as often. The calm waves felt weaker, shorter, like someone was turning down their power. She didn't know if it was an accident, or if Vaelrin was doing it. He came again on the 4th night. He didn't glide like the others. He walked, slowly, awkwardly, as if trying to mimic human movement. "I've read about your history," he said as the door slid shut behind him. "Wars, music, dreams, fear, all of it." "Sounds like you've been reading a lot," Lira said, eyeing him warily. "I have, but reading isn't the same as feeling. We deleted that part of ourselves long ago." She tilted her head. "You deleted feelings?" "It was necessary," he said. "Our ancestors believed emotion led to self-destruction. They chose peace over chaos." "Peace without choice isn't peace," she said. "It's sleep." Vaelrin looked at her, really looked, and for a moment something in his glassy expression cracked. "You speak like someone much older than 12. "I had to grow fast," she said simply. He almost smiled. "You sound like one of your old human philosophers." "I don't know what that means." "Then maybe," he said softly, "I should show you." The next night, Vaelrin brought something she'd never seen before, a small projector sphere. When he activated it, the air shimmered with color and sound. Shapes formed, people laughing, oceans crashing, cities burning, lovers embracing. "These," he said quietly, "are human memories. The last records your ships carried before the Vael offered you sanctuary." Lira stood transfixed. Tears filled her eyes. She reached out, her small fingers brushing through the holographic mist. "That's Earth?" "Yes," Vaelrin said. "Your world, your home." Lira looked at him, voice trembling. "Why are you showing me this? Aren't you afraid I'll start a rebellion or something?" He hesitated. "Maybe I want you to." She stared, unsure if he was serious. "You'd go against your own kind?" "I don't know yet," he admitted. "But when I see these memories, I feel something. A pulse, like a heartbeat in my mind." "That's called emotion," she said with a smile. He nodded slowly. "Then maybe I want to feel it again." The days grew darker in the gardens. Rumors spread. The calm waves were weakening across multiple settlements. Overseers whispered that the chorus was losing focus. Some blamed human interference. Others suspected corruption within their own kind. Vaelrin began sneaking messages into the human network, small coded symbols hidden in work assignments, designed to wake forgotten memories. Words like dream, remember, and hope began appearing in strange places. Carved into walls, drawn in dust, whispered between workers. It was Lyra's doing. He'd given her access to the maintenance system, pretending it was an experiment. But what started as harmless curiosities soon became something more. One night, Lira said, They won't stop us forever. Who? He asked. The ones who think we're monsters, she said. Maybe it's time they see what real monsters look like when we fight back. Vaelrin should have felt alarmed. Instead, he felt something else. Pride. The chorus began to notice him. Every Vael was connected to the mental network, but lately Vaelrin's thoughts carried static. Strange impulses, flashes of human images. His superiors summoned him for re-evaluation. The High Overseer's mind pressed into his like a blade. You've been near the human child too often. She contaminates your pattern. Vaelrin stood still, masking his fear. I am only studying her resistance. It may help us strengthen the calm. We sense deception. He forced his mind to remain blank. Perhaps your senses are failing. A dangerous silence filled the link. The High Overseer finally withdrew, his glow dimming. You walk near the edge of exile, Vaelrin. One more deviation and you will be stripped of voice and thought. He bowed deeply, understood. But as he left the chamber, he whispered, not through thought but aloud, You've already stripped too much. That same night he returned to Lira's cell. She was drawing on the floor with a shard of metal, sketching what looked like a bird. What is that? He asked. It's called a phoenix, she said. It dies in fire but comes back stronger. He watched her quietly. You think humans can rise again? She looked up at him with fierce determination. We already are, you just don't see it yet. Something in her words made his pulse, that strange human-like rhythm, quicken. He reached into his robes and handed her a small cube. What's this? She asked. Your mother's memory pattern, he said softly. I managed to retrieve it before her mind was adjusted. Lira's eyes widened. You saved her memories? I couldn't save her body, he said. But this holds what she was. If we succeed, maybe we can bring her back. She pressed the cube to her chest, tears running down her cheeks. Why are you doing all this? He took a long breath. Because for the first time in centuries I feel alive. And it's because of you. Days turned into weeks. Vaelrin and Lira became unlikely allies and friends. He taught her how to shield her mind from the calm. She taught him how to feel again. Laughter, sadness, hope. He learned human songs, short and rough but beautiful. She learned to send faint telepathic ripples, barely noticeable, but growing stronger each day. Then one night, something inside her snapped open. As she was meditating, Vaelrin felt it. A surge of raw power radiating from her like a storm. He stumbled back, gripping the wall. Lira, what are you doing? I don't know, she cried. It's like I can hear them. He listened and realized she wasn't lying. The faint whispers of the chorus echoed faintly in her mind. A human, inside the Vael network. Impossible. He stepped closer, awe in. His voice. You're connecting. Without implants, without training. Lira opened her eyes, glowing faint blue. They think they control everything. But I can feel the truth now. They're afraid of us. Vaelrin swallowed. Then they'll come for you soon. Lira stood, trembling but unafraid. Let them. I'm done being calm. The rebellion had begun, and it started with a child and an alien who had forgotten how to feel The calm wave that morning never reached Garden 47. The silver sky pulsed faintly, then went dark. For the first time in living memory, silence didn't mean peace. It meant freedom. People blinked in confusion. They could feel again. Fear, wonder, anger. All rushing back at once. And above them, the great floating city of Ithrael flickered with unstable light. Lira stood on the edge of the garden's boundary, looking up. It's starting, she whispered. Vaelrin stood beside her, his usually calm aura trembling. I've cut the chorus from this region, he said quietly. But it won't last long. They'll come to restore it. Lira turned to him. Then we have to move before they do. He hesitated. Do you understand what you're about to start? The Vael don't forgive rebellion. She looked straight at him. You said once that peace without choice isn't peace. I'm just choosing. Vaelrin didn't answer. He only nodded and followed her. The humans had no weapons, no ships, nothing but hands, voices, and memories. But what they had was something stronger, belief. For years, whispers had moved quietly between workers, stories of the old earth, of oceans and stars, of songs that made people cry. The chorus had dulled their emotions, but it couldn't erase what made them human. And now, with the calm gone, those whispers became shouts. In every garden, people began to resist. They stopped obeying orders. They smashed the silver speakers that emitted the calm. Some ran into the open plains, vanishing into the wild. Others stayed, organizing, using old signals from the time before silence. And through it all, Lyra's voice spread, not through words but through thought. At first only a few could hear her, then dozens, then hundreds. Remember who you are. Her voice echoed like a flame inside the minds of those who had forgotten how to feel, and one by one the gardens woke up. In Ithrael, chaos erupted. The chorus flickered with static, collapsing in sections. Overseers screamed silently, clutching their heads as alien noise flooded their perfect order. The High Overseer demanded to know the source. "Find Vaelrin," he ordered. "He carries the infection." Within hours, Vaelrin became a hunted traitor. He and Lira moved through abandoned tunnels beneath the gardens, following the glow of his handlight. The walls vibrated faintly with power surges from above. "Where are we going?" she asked. "There's a transport bay under the central spire," he said. "If we can reach it, I can send a message to the other colonies. They deserve to know the truth." "You mean other humans?" He hesitated. "And other Vael. Not all of them agree with what's been done." They stopped at a sealed bulkhead. Vaelrin reached out, his fingertips glowing as he manipulated the lock. "Stay close. Once this door opens, the chorus will sense us." She nodded. "I'm not afraid." "I wish I could say the same," he said softly. The door hissed open, and they stepped into the old world. The transport bay was huge and dark, filled with rusting machines. Dust coated everything, but Lyra's eyes caught something gleaming. A row of old human shuttles, stripped for parts but still recognizable. "My people built these," she said in awe. Vaelrin smiled faintly. "The Vael couldn't understand why your kind built machines that broke so easily. But now I think maybe they were never meant to last. Maybe they were meant to fly." She grinned. "Then let's make one fly again." Together they began working, his precise mind blending with her raw instinct. She didn't know much about machines, but somehow she remembered. Sparks danced, metal screamed. Systems flickered to life for the first time in decades. Then the lights above them changed color, blue to red. The chorus had found them. "They're coming," Vaelrin said grimly. Lira clenched her fists. "Let them." The first overseers arrived like silver ghosts, their minds radiating cold fury. "You cannot resist the chorus," one spoke directly into Lyra's head. "You are a disease to be erased." Her knees buckled under the pressure, but Vaelrin stepped in front of her, blocking the psychic assault. "No," he said aloud. "You are the disease. You killed your own hearts." The overseers turned on him instantly, psychic energy slamming into his mind. He cried out, falling to his knees. His skin cracked, blue light spilling from the fractures. Lira screamed and reached for him, and something inside her snapped open again. This time, the power didn't whisper. It roared. Every emotion she had ever buried, fear, anger, love, sorrow, exploded outward in a shockwave. The air burned. The overseers staggered, clutching their heads. Their telepathic link shattered like glass. Vaelrin looked up through the chaos, eyes wide. "Lira, what are you doing?" She stood in the center of the storm, her hair whipping around her face, eyes blazing blue-white. "I'm giving them back what they took from us." The wave of emotion tore through the bay, through the walls, through the sky itself. For miles around, humans woke up screaming, crying, laughing, feeling for the first time in years. The chorus collapsed entirely, but power came with pain. Lira fell to her knees, gasping, her nose bleeding. Vaelrin crawled to her side. "You're burning yourself out," he said urgently. "I can't stop it," she whispered. "It's too much." He pressed his forehead to hers, their minds touching. "Then let me share it." She shook her head weakly. "You'll die." "Maybe," he said. "But maybe I'll finally understand what it means to be alive." Their thoughts merged, human and Vael, chaos and order, and for the first time in history, The chorus felt something it had never known before, emotion. Billions of minds connected across the planet, suddenly feeling sorrow, love, rage, and awe all at once. The perfect order shattered, and from its ruins, something new began to grow. When the light finally faded, the bay was silent. The overseers were gone, the machines lay in ruins, and in the center, Lira and Vael lay side by side, breathing slowly. He opened his eyes first. The blue glow was softer now, mixed with faint gold. "Are you all right?" he asked. She smiled weakly. "I think so. What happened?" He looked toward the sky. "You woke them all. The chorus is gone. Every Vael now feels what we feel." "Good," she said. Now they'll understand slowly. "You were right all along." Outside, the humans of the gardens gathered in the open air. They could feel the world breathing again. The wind warm, the stars bright. Some wept, some shouted, some simply stood in awe. And above them the sky rippled with color, the remnants of Lyra's power dancing like auroras. The Vael would no longer rule by silence, because now they too had hearts. The world was different now. The skies no longer shimmered with silver calm. The song of the chorus, that constant silent hum that once ruled every thought, had vanished. In its place came the sound of life, cries, laughter, wind, rain, and the distant murmur of voices learning how to feel again. For the first time in centuries, Thireen was noisy. Lira woke in a quiet medical chamber. The walls were cracked, lights flickering. Vael sat beside her, his usually perfect form now scarred, faint veins of gold running through his crystalline skin. "You're awake," he said softly. She blinked, her voice weak. "Did we win?" He looked away. "We changed everything, whether that's victory or chaos. I don't know yet." Lira tried to sit up, pain shooting through her body. "The gardens, free," he said. "The calm is gone. Humans are waking all over the planet, but so are the Vael, and they're terrified." "Terrified?" He nodded. "Imagine feeling emotion for the first time in your life, millions of minds all at once, screaming with fear and guilt. The chorus kept them safe from it. Now they don't know how to live with it." Lira frowned. "Then they'll blame us." "Yes," he said quietly. "Some already do." Outside the ruined city of Ithrael, the once perfect spires now burned. Shattered glass bodies of Vael littered the streets, victims of their own emotions spiraling out of control. Some wept in confusion, clutching their glowing chests. Others wandered aimlessly, whispering apologies to no one. Among them, humans moved cautiously, unsure if they were free or simply lost. The line between master and prisoner had vanished overnight. Vael led Lira through the broken halls of what used to be the Hall of Stillness. Now it was filled with noise. Vael and humans alike arguing, crying, trying to understand one another. A small group gathered near the center, former overseers, their cold glow dimmed. When they saw Vael, they recoiled. "You did this," one hissed. "You infected us with your chaos." "I freed you," he said simply. "You just don't know it yet." "Freedom," another spat. "You've destroyed our harmony, our purpose." Vael met their eyes calmly. "Then make a new one." They trembled, unable to comprehend the simplicity of his words. For beings who had lived by mental order, the concept of choice was unbearable. Lira stepped forward. "You called us monsters because we felt too much," she said. "Now you feel too. So tell me, are you monsters now?" The overseers had no answer. That night, Vael and Lira stood on a balcony overlooking the shattered city. Fires glowed in the distance. The air carried the smell of rain and smoke, and something else, something alive. Lira looked up at the twin moons. "What happens now?" He folded his hands behind his back. "We rebuild, or we fall apart. It depends on whether we can learn to live with what we are." She turned to him. "And what are we?" He smiled faintly. "Not so different anymore." For a moment neither spoke. The wind tugged at their clothes, carrying faint echoes of laughter and crying from below. "Do you regret it?" she asked quietly. He shook his head. "No, but I grieve it. The chorus may have been a prison, but it was also safety. Now we stand in open air and the wind is cold." Lira nodded slowly. "Then we'll learn to build fires." Over the next week something remarkable happened. Humans and Vael began working together. The first time, it was out of necessity. Survival. Food systems were breaking down, power grids flickered. Without the chorus to coordinate, everything was falling apart. But as they worked side by side, something unexpected bloomed. Understanding. A human farmer taught a Vael how to plant seeds. A Vael architect showed humans how to shape light into structures. Children from both species played together among the ruins. Lira became a symbol. To the humans, she was the girl who defied the calm. To the Vael, she was both a miracle and a warning. They whispered her name with awe and fear, but she never wanted worship, only peace. And yet, not all shared her vision. One night, while she slept, Vaelrin felt a disturbance, faint, sharp, wrong. A psychic whisper slithered through the new, fragile network that was forming between minds. He followed it, through corridors and broken halls, until he reached the old communication chamber beneath the Hall of Stillness. There, among flickering lights, stood 3 Vael, overseers who had refused emotion. They had found a way to rebuild a fragment of the chorus. "You can't bring it back," Vaelrin said, stepping into the light. They turned T. O him, eyes burning bright blue again. "You destroyed perfection," one said. "We will restore it, even if it means ending you." He spread his hands. "You don't understand. You can't undo what's been awakened. The chorus is dead." "Then we will make a new one," the overseer hissed, raising his hand. Psychic energy flared, slamming Vaelrin backward. "There," she said, eyes brightening. "Other species that the chorus touched. Worlds still under control, maybe even still enslaved. We could free them." He studied her quietly. "You want to spread the fire." "I want to share the light," she corrected. "The fire destroys, but light helps others see." Word of Tharine's rebirth spread far. A world once ruled by absolute control now shone as a beacon for freedom. Traders came from distant colonies, curious about these 2 species who had learned to live as one. Some came to study, others came to join. And slowly, the idea of emotion as strength began to ripple outward, through the stars, through minds that had long forgotten how to feel. Lira became a diplomat, though she never liked the word. She preferred to think of herself as a storyteller. Wherever she went, she told the same tale. "They called us monsters," she would begin, "because we felt pain, because we cared, because we refused to be silent. But it was love, not control, that saved us all." Every time she spoke, others listened, and something deep within them stirred. One night, years later, she returned to Tharine. The city glittered like dawn frozen in glass. She found Vaelrin in the Hall of Living Light, a new structure where memories were stored not in silence, but in music. He was older now, though the Vael did not age as humans did. His glow had dimmed slightly, his voice softer. "Back from the stars already?" he asked, smiling faintly. "Only for a while," she said. "I missed home," he nodded. "The others still ask about you. They say you've started something greater than the chorus ever was." She shook her head. "I didn't start it, we did." He regarded her fondly. "You still don't like taking credit." "Because I'm not the story," she said. "We all are." As the night deepened, they walked through the city together, past children playing in glowing fountains, human and Vael together, past the murals painted on the walls. One showed a little girl standing before a tower of light, her hands raised, breaking the chains of thought. At the bottom of the mural, the words were carved in both languages. "Emotion is not weakness. It is life." Lira stopped to touch the carving. "Do you ever miss it?" she asked softly. "The chorus?" Vaelrin thought for a long moment. "Sometimes," he admitted. There was beauty in its unity, but it was a beauty without color. He turned to her, eyes gleaming faintly gold. "Now the world is full of colors, too bright, too loud, too alive. And I wouldn't trade it for anything." The years rolled on, empires rose and fell, but Tharine remained a symbol, the first world to rise from control into freedom. The children of both species grew up together, learning both science and song. They built ships powered by emotion energy, thought fused with feeling, and sailed them into the stars. Lira watched from the launch platform as the first ship departed, its engines glowing with soft hues of gold and crimson. "What should we call it?" one of the pilots asked. She smiled. "Call it Hope." And as Hope lifted into the sky, the crowd below cheered. Humans and Vael side by side, hearts beating as one. In her final years, Lira would sit beneath the same twin moons, now old and tired but still smiling. Children would gather around her, eager to hear the story once more. "They called us monsters," she'd whisper, "because we dared to feel. But the truth is, monsters don't build worlds. We did." And when her eyes finally closed for the last time, Vaelrin stood beside her grave, his golden cracks glowing in silent tribute. He looked toward the horizon where the stars burned, brighter now, more alive, and whispered, "Farewell, my friend. The fire lives on." Centuries later, among the stars, the legend of Thorine was still told. A story of humans, small, fragile, emotional, who taught the galaxy that feelings were not flaws but fuel. And somewhere in the quiet, between worlds, a voice echoed through the void, a child's laughter, carried on waves of light. A reminder that even when control fades, humanity endures.